And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. This is episode number 15. I am back tonight with Hitmaster and Jackson. We're back. It is the 2022 NASCAR season is officially in the books. Champions have been crowned. The last races have been ran. And we got a lot to talk about as far as season and a lot of developments that have come around. Of course, we're going to recap Phoenix, react to all the champions. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend. Some big news that came out earlier today, or at the time recording this, it came out. Only a couple silly season things otherwise, about 3 of them. And then we'll close the book on the 2022 season, talking about the highs, the lows, talk about the new car, breakout drivers, what we saw the last of, maybe some of the new tracks, and all that kind of stuff. I'll preview the lineup for my New Year's Eve spectacular race that got locked in. Well, the roster got locked in. I'll name off all the drivers that qualified this year. We'll congratulate the winner of our season predictions sort of thing. And which Hitmaster, I hope to actually get you in on that next year. If you want. It's pretty fun.
Sure.
Well, but we'll talk about that a lot later down the line. And then at the end, we will touch on the direction this podcast is going to take going into the off season. So it should be pretty big. But first, let's get the big one out of the way. Prior to the Cup race, it was announced that Coy Gibbs, who has partial ownership of Joe Gibbs Racing, passed away unexpectedly in his sleep at the age of 49. That was Saturday night. It was literally only a few hours after Ty Gibbs won the championship, which we will get into a little bit later. But this was pretty shocking news to a lot of people. I mean, he had done a press conference talking about Ty Gibbs winning the championship literally hours before he died. And I watched that press conference. He didn't seem 100%, but he didn't seem like close to death either. He seemed pretty fine, all things considered. And so it's pretty shocking to me that he missed this, that he died. It's crazy. It shocked everybody. There's a lot of interviews with people, a lot of interviews with drivers after the race today. We're talking about where we're very shocked at what happened, and then a lot of the announcers were shocked at what happened too. Because of this, Ty Gibbs missed the Cup race. Daniel Hemrick filled in for him. And didn't do anything too spectacular. So, but I guess that wasn't really on the forefront of anybody's mind with how it was going to work there. But I mean, Coy himself, he has partial ownership of Joe Gibbs, son of Joe Gibbs, the other one of his sons. First son, J.D. Gibbs, died in 2019. Ironically, at the same age that Coy Gibbs passed away, which is...
That's not ironic. That's a coincidence.
That's just a little creepy, I guess was this kind of saying. But Coy himself, he played college football at Stanford University. I found that out. And then ran truck and Xfinity races for Joe Gibbs in the early 2000s. Didn't do anything too spectacular, but I guess wasn't horrible either, especially in the truck series. Of course, hasn't ran races in a while, so that's very sad news. Condolences out to the Gibbs family. The internet is going crazy about this, as the internet usually does.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah, I found out.
I'm not a fan.
So I watched. So in looking in the comments of the video of Coy Gibbs' last press conference, everybody in the comment section had pretty big general consensus of how he died, because it hasn't actually been released at the time of recording this, how he died. But a lot of people think it was either from COVID complications or COVID vaccine complications. And are basically
I'm going to say doubt.
And they're using this now as anti-COVID vaccine promotional material.
Jeez.
Which I think is just super weird and super stupid.
I'd like to find out what it was, though, but I don't think it was that.
No, I don't think it was either. Because if he had COVID, then he wouldn't even been there doing the press conference.
Yeah.
And if it was from the vaccine, that just seems so out there because it's so rare that stuff actually happens that it's just not
Rare, but not unheard of.
no, but like it's super rare.
Still,
Like it's very, very unlikely that that's
yeah.
what happened. And it's the internet being the internet, jumping to conclusions, and so what can you do? But that's really sad. Kind of left a sour taste in everybody's mouth this weekend. Well, I guess today. That's because it happened last night. But yeah, so that really sucks. But as far as the rest of the weekend goes, for the truck series, it was Zane Smith, I believe, right? Is his name? Zane Smith?
Yep.
Winning the Truck Series Championship, putting on a pretty dominating performance. Personally, I thought that was the best of the 3 races this weekend.
I did too. It was a great finish. All 4 drivers at one point were 1, 2, 3, 4. So
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Sad thing is, I couldn't watch any of the races.
It looked like Zane Smith dominated most of the race. Later in the end of the race, Ben Rhodes took the lead and was starting to actually run away with it until Ty Majeski crashed, bringing the field back together late in the restart. That gave Zane Smith the opportunity to jump back out front, and Zane Smith made it. Ben Rhodes made a move to try and get back there. It was actually a pretty exciting finish. Again, probably the best finish of the weekend, to be honest. Made it a little exciting, but Smith was able to hang on, win the championship. It was a dominating race and absolutely deserved the championship there. So congratulations. And I think it was a nice, exciting send off to the Truck Series season. I think he was a deserving winner. From what
he totally was. He had the best season out of anyone this year. Like, no one came close. I mean, there were a few people like Chandler Smith and Ty Majeski came close, and John Hunter Nemechek too, I guess. But I mean, he was still the best. So.
Yeah. So, but it was a nice little send off there, and then for the Xfinity Series, it was coming in Junior Motorsports versus Ty Gibbs, and Ty Gibbs goes out, beats everybody's ass, and wins. Which again, everybody last night was not very happy about that. But recent news has kind of left everybody to not talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
But Gibbs again put on a dominating performance throughout the race. Didn't wreck anybody to win it this time, but
I like that quote this time.
Yeah. But no, he put on a dominating performance. Nobody even really came close to getting it. Gragson had an opportunity earlier in the race. Allgaier was putting a little bit. Josh Berry didn't really do anything.
He wrecked.
Right. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch the second half of the series. I only watched the first half. But I mean, still, I would consider it a deserving championship, I guess. I know a lot of people are not happy about him winning the championship because of what happened in Martinsville. But
yeah,
I'd still consider it deserving. He won a lot of races, and he went up against the odds. I mean, he was one of...
He wasn't... Yeah, but I don't know. Gragson was way better this year. So
That's true. I mean, when considered... But, like, it's still a very big championship resume, kind of saying. But congratulations to Ty Gibbs. It helps a little bit lightheartedness knowing that Coy did get to see his son win a championship before his passing. I think a lot of people are taking solace in that right now. So they'll be able to ride that into the off season. And then we got the Cup Series finale, which I thought was the most boring out of the 3. Joey Logano put on a dominant performance, led a ton of laps, ran away with the win.
While I was at work, I was like, I wonder how the race is going after I was watching the Lions game. or not watching, but going through it, I'm just like, oh great, Logano's leading. Oh great, Logano's second. Oh great, Logano. Like I was just like, oh dang it. And then I saw Chase Elliott with one lap down. I'm just like, well, I guess that's not gonna happen. It's me and Tyler are gonna be upset, but
Yeah.
Logano was dominant. And
yeah, you thought Zane Smith dominated? Well, then Ty Gibbs put that to shame. You thought Ty Gibbs was dominant? Well, Logano put that to shame. Nobody challenged Logano at all out of the championship for, like, period. Logano's really only competition all day was Ryan Blaney, who purposely did not go for the lead late in the race so that Logano wouldn't have to worry about winning. I thought that was really annoying. Blaney winless all season, has a chance to get the win. This pit crew's not getting in the way. The car's running good, and you just give it all away just so Logano can take the victory along with the championship. It's really... And, there was probably money involved and whatever, but, at the end of the day, Logano still was by far the best car. Chase Elliott got dumped by Chastain, and yes, it was a dumping. It was very, very annoying to watch that happen live. And that pretty much took out Elliott for the opportunity. Bell's pit crew sold him out, and that cost him the chance at the championship, and then Chastain just did not have the car to catch up to Logano late in the race. Blaney was definitely playing defense for Logano, and that showed on that last restart when he held up Ross Chastain and when he stayed away from Logano at the end of the race. And you know what? It's for the team, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, you pass Logano, he still wins the championship, and you get your win that you want this season. So why not go for it? Blaney clearly could have passed him. He had so many runs to do it, and it really just made me annoying that he backed off and purposely stayed back the entire time.
Well, just hearing this is brings me back to the Roval situation when
Exactly.
Cole Custer was slowing down everybody so Briscoe can get in.
If there's incriminating radio, then I still don't know if they'll do anything.
Well, they didn't do anything when Matt Crafton did it for his teammates to help get in the trucks.
Yeah, but that was his decision.
So
there was no radio.
And I doubt anybody's really going to do anything about it because it wasn't as extreme as what Custer did at the Roval.
I don't know. If you saw the last lap, Blaney tried really hard to get him. He hit the wall.
Tried really hard. Yeah, sure. Yeah, because when Chastain
tried everything but wrecking him.
Did you not notice that when Chastain was starting to make a run at Logano, he was really starting to make up ground late in the race, Blaney backed off to try and defend Chastain and take his line away, and then...
Yeah, I gotta say, though, Chastain took the loss with gracefully. I saw his interview. He was very graceful, and he looked at the big picture, said, yeah, I don't think anyone saw us finishing second.
That is true. Is true.
He took time to thank every single car owner that he drove for, from trucks to Xfinity to Cup, which, and he's driven for a lot of teams, so that I definitely have a lot of respect for that. He did a great job.
If you guys were to tell me that Ross Chastain would be in the Final Four, I would have thought you were crazy.
If you told me Christopher Bell would be in the Final Four, I thought you were crazy.
I saw Christopher Bell going to the 8, but I didn't see him going to the Final Four.
Right.
As for Ross Chastain, I was thinking at most round of 12.
Right. Especially came in all those people against him.
It seems like Trackhouse in their, second season?
Second.
Second.
It's the one team's first season.
It seems like they're doing okay because Suarez got his first win, which is good.
Yeah.
And also Ross Chastain, I think, got his first win this year. So it's
he got 2 wins this year.
Right. 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a Cup Series, he got his first win and all that. I'm saying yeah, but you're
okay.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Yeah, I mean, as far as like the championship weekend goes, as far as excitement, it was not great. Not as good as last year for sure. I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really don't like what they did to Phoenix. The track was not built to have the start finish line right before the dog leg. It's not that great of a configuration. Phoenix even with that, even before that, Phoenix is not that great of a racetrack. It's a very boring track, not great for a championship finale.
No, they overhyped the hell out of this race, and it
really
ended up being. I understand why they did it because I mean it's hard not to overhype after what happened at Martinsville.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, Homestead wasn't bad as a championship finale, but they're never gonna go back there probably. But,
No, it was pretty good.
That leads me to the question: if you were to take Phoenix out of the championship race, what would you put in? Like what track?
I put Homestead in.
I'd put something like Homestead. If Old Atlanta still existed, I would pick Atlanta.
But Homestead is old Atlanta. They built it to be
No,
exactly
not
like
old Atlanta. I mean old Atlanta.
Like before they repaved it.
Oh, before they made it a plate track, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Not 90s Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
90s
That wouldn't
Atlanta
be
was-
bad. I wouldn't.
Well, 90s Atlanta was the finale.
Yeah, it was.
I know.
You know what?
is-
New Hampshire might work.
I know this
Too
is
cold.
a stretch, but I kind
I'm
of would
kidding.
have put Martinsville, or if they
Well,
put
New
North
Hampshire is just
Murfreesboro-
Martinsville doubled.
That's true. But New Hampshire would be too cold because you in November, you risk snow, you risk really bad weather. Even Martinsville wouldn't be that bad weather. I mean, we've seen it work now late in the season. I really love them to try it at Daytona or Talladega, though I know that's never going
Auto
to
Club
happen.
could work.
Well, then again, if you put it at Daytona or Talladega, then anyone could win that race, and then
Yeah, I'm not okay. Daytona or Talladega is a no.
I mean, I would love to
Auto
see it just
Club?
for like one time only, for like a all-star race or something like that. But like,
that would be insane.
If it wasn't in November, I would say Michigan.
Oh my god! I don't think Michigan would be
I
any
would
better
go
than
to that.
Phoenix as far as excitement. I would definitely go. That would be awesome for like the race experience. But as far as like a TV viewing experience, probably wouldn't be much different. Kansas could be good.
If they can get rid of the dirty air problem,
Yeah,
Kansas would be phenomenal.
probably. Yeah, I wouldn't.
We would see a Carl Edwards.
yeah,
We kind of did
Carl,
already.
come back. They're making
No,
Kansas.
one that works.
No, true. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I don't know. It's just not great, you know. Nobody. I mean, yeah. So that's. It was just kind of a little blah, not a little like a loud thud, and that's it. You know, not like any big excitement for the end of the season. But what are you gonna do? Again, it's Phoenix. So, all right, so let's touch on some other silly season stuff we got here. We already talked about the Coy Gibbs is passing.
That ain't silly. That's just depressing.
Well, that's why we already talked about it. So it was announced this week that Menards will be staying with Brandon Jones going into next year. So that's pretty cool. Get some good sponsorships there. There were a couple other big announcements. I'll save the biggest one for last. But I'll say the next one, Kyle Busch Motorsports released their lineup announcement for next season with a whole shakeup with Kyle going to Richard Childress and all that kind of stuff. I didn't write down what it was.
It's Chase Purdy in the 4, and then the 51 will be a rotating driver, but Jack Wood will run the majority of the races. In essence, Kyle Busch Motorsports will not win.
They're staying with Toyota, or are they going to Chevy?
No, they're Chevy.
Okay.
And they've basically, the 18 truck, they've kind of pretty much sold to Rev Racing, which is an ARCA team. And they'll field the number 2 for Nick Sanchez, the ARCA champion, which I think that's deserving.
He's got a lot of potential, and I'd like to see what he can do.
Yeah, should be a good situation all around there, hopefully. And then the only other really big thing for silly season was, of course, Petty GMS announced that Jimmy Johnson is coming back. Whether you like it or not, he's getting partial
Great.
ownership of
Fun.
Petty GMS, and that will include partial ownership of the team, like I said. And he also is going to be running a part-time schedule in NASCAR for Petty GMS next year. The only
He's running the Daytona 500.
Yes, the only confirmed start for him is the Daytona 500.
If I had to guess, I think he's going to run. I think he's already confirmed to run the Indy 500 with Ganassi, but I have a feeling he's going to run the double. I also think he's going to run the Chicago Street Course.
I think doing the double is a very likely scenario for Jimmy Johnson. Seeing that Tony Stewart's done it, Kurt Busch has done it. There are rumors going around that Kyle Busch was going to do it. I think those are
Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson are both heavily rumored to do it.
But I think Jimmy will for sure do it, especially since he's only running a part-time Cup schedule. So, if something happens at the Indy, doesn't get to 600 in time, it wouldn't make a huge amount of impact. But he's also really good at Charlotte, so that could also be just another reason to run Charlotte.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be interesting to see what other tracks he picks, though. I don't know if he's going to do Texas. He used to be really good at Texas, but he's only won once on the new configuration.
Chicago, Tyler.
Chicago Street Course, probably. He'll at least probably qualify for it.
The Clash, maybe?
That would be cool since I am going to the Chicago Street Course this year. It's actually official.
Poggers.
And also, I've got this set.
Oh, yeah, you're
So all I need to do is get a thing for it, and I'll be all good. It's all batteries, all good. I just need to bring my charger with me, and I'll have it videotaped for everything for the Chicago Street Course.
That's awesome.
So hopefully it doesn't break by then.
Yeah, you probably gotta get a little break into it a little bit, make sure it doesn't blow up on you. I don't even know what races he'd run next year though. It's like probably Dover. He's been really good at Dover, Martinsville too. So those are two probably likely options. I highly doubt he's going to run Michigan. He always seems to get very bad luck at Michigan.
Good.
Maybe he'll probably run Talladega, one of them. Probably not both of them, but probably one of them. And he's not been the greatest at Talladega in his career, but being that he's running Daytona, he's probably going to run Talladega too. I don't see him running that many. If especially since he's running a part-time schedule, I don't see him running that many races come playoff time. But it really depends on what tracks he wants to do and when. So it'll be quite interesting to see what he does here. We don't have anything about his car or number or whatever, or anything like that at the moment. I think, Jackson, you said Carvana is going to sponsor him though.
Yes.
Okay.
They announced before Jimmy announced that he was going to run the Indy 500. They announced that they were going to sponsor him in 2023, and they didn't specify whether that was IndyCar. They just said we're sponsoring him.
So it's pretty likely that he will be sponsored in both IndyCar and NASCAR. So
yes.
But once we figure out what his number and his car looks like, we'll definitely have to talk about it here on the podcast. That'll come pretty shortly, I'm assuming. Now that the season's over and the off season's beginning, and then we'll get stuff kind of figured out. We'll see what happens there, but I don't know. I think Jimmy's kind of washed. I don't think he's not going to do anything in any of these races. It'll be cool to see him run the double. That'll be fun to watch him do. But I mean, maybe he might win Daytona. If he runs Talladega, he might run Talladega. Maybe he runs the Atlanta now. Maybe he'll run Atlanta. Maybe he'll win that. But he's kind of washed. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't win any of these. But I think it's pretty cool. See him come back. That's everything I gotta say on that. So unless there's any other like silly season stuff that came up since the last recording, I think we can move on, unless you guys thought of anything else.
No.
Not that I know of.
We'll forgot to note that Penske did take both IndyCar and NASCAR championship this year. So if you like that, there you go. But okay, so as I said, the 2022 NASCAR season is in the books. Let's close the book on the season. Talk about it all throughout. I know I started the podcast midway through the season, back in like July or whatever. So, we didn't cover all the races throughout the season, but this is a good opportunity to cover some of the higher points, highs and lows of the season. We will touch on how our thoughts on the new car, how it did this season, some drivers we thought had a very big breakout season, some surprise drivers, who or what we have seen the last of. Maybe talk about some new tracks that got introduced this year. And first, I'd like to point out that especially in the Cup Series, all of the different winners that we had. We didn't get to 20. We were stuck at 19 for a while. Eric Jones was the last different winner to win at Darlington. Or no, it was Bubba Wallace at Kansas.
It was Chris Buescher at Bristol.
Okay, yeah. But after the first round of the playoffs, no new winners. Blaney and Truex did not win. But we're stuck at 19 different winners. Technically 19, if you count just the regular season and the 36 points paying races. Which is tied for the most winners in a single season all time, which is pretty cool. We were so close to breaking that record, but it just wasn't meant to be this year. But I always thought that was pretty cool. Always nice to see a lot of competitiveness and a lot of different winners, a lot of variety. Because a lot of drivers scored their very first wins this season, including Ross Chastain. Obviously, we talked about him earlier. Daniel Suarez as well. Austin Cindric winning the Daytona 500. That kind of is getting brushed under the rug with how bad he was the rest of the season, but he did win the 500. And Shelton Clinch Rookie of the Year honors this season in the Cup Series. So that was pretty cool. Tyler Reddick as well, winning his first race. I feel like there was one more. I don't remember who it was.
Did you say Suarez?
Yes.
Give me a sec.
Did you say Suarez at all?
I did.
Okay.
Suarez, Chastain.
I know there was a fifth. I don't remember who was it.
Reddick, Cindric, Chastain, Suarez, Briscoe.
Oh, and Chase Briscoe. That was the other one. He got his first win of the season. As
At
well
Phoenix.
Yep, Phoenix #1. So that was pretty cool. 5 new winners, or 5 first-time winners, I should say. Who got their first win like Truck and Xfinity? I don't want to leave them behind.
Let me pull it up, and I can tell you.
Because I could tell you probably it wasn't as high level competitiveness in those, because there was definitely some more definitive like front runners for the title. In the Cup, it was
Okay. So, first time truck winners: Ty Majeski.
Wow.
Ty Majeski and Matt DiBenedetto. That's it.
Oh yeah, Matty D. I forgot he won a race finally.
Talladega.
That's right.
Yeah, everyone else that won
very happy
races.
That was a
and
feel
then
good moment for sure.
Yeah, and then Xfinity. Austin Hill. That's it.
That was it. 'Cause
Austin Hill.
like I was saying, there was definitely like a more defined like front runners for the championship in both Xfinity and Truck. In Cup, it looked like going into the playoffs it was going to be a runaway for Chase Elliott, and then he completely shit the bed in the playoffs, winning
my
at Talladega, but
Guys.
not really doing anything else otherwise. And so that sucked. But there's some other drivers that Ross Chastain again had a really good season. Daniel Suarez had a very strong season with the one win. Logano, obviously the champion, which I think was pretty deserving. Not the most deserving out of all of them, but still pretty deserving.
It's okay. We may not like it, but it's okay.
It's better than when he won in 2018. I'll take.
No, I agree.
And even like Christopher Bell, I mean, he pulled in some clutch moves after clutch moves in the playoffs to get in. We talk about Ross Chastain's insane move to clutch his way into the Final Four. I mean, Bell was on the brink of elimination twice and won both times to lock himself into the championship four, which was absolutely insane to see that play out. All right, let's see here. But there were definitely a lot of, as the high points go, a lot of break. I don't know. I guess Ty Majeski, winning his first race and making it all the way to the championship four is another big breakout moment. We've talked about some of the breakouts in Cup as well. Who was like a big breakout in the Xfinity Series? I know it was a very Junior Motorsports dominated season.
I would say.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for the Cup Series, I would say Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain. Those were the two big breakout stars. Also, William Byron and Daniel Suarez, I feel like, was a breakout driver. But in the Xfinity Series, I think the breakout drivers were Josh Berry, Austin Hill, even though he's a rookie. I think those were the two main breakout drivers this season. As for the Truck Series, breakout drivers, Ty Majeski easily. I think really, I think Carson Hocevar is on the verge of breaking out. I think he's got so much raw talent. He makes so many mistakes and has made some questionable decisions. I'm a fan of his. He's from Michigan. He's from the Flint area, and he's got just a ton of potential. He just needs to harness in on the spinning out on purpose.
Wait, who?
Carson Hocevar.
Forgot Hocevar. I did not even know Hocevar was part of Michigan.
Yeah, he's from Flint.
That's pretty cool. As with the highs come the lows. A lot of drivers had some not so great seasons. Mainly in the Cup Series, I can think of Brad Keselowski going over to the 6. He had a pretty bad year. And 2311 had a big setback with the whole Kurt Busch situation, which we will get to a little bit later.
And it started off so well.
Right, it
honestly,
really did.
That was, I was prepared to say that was the best driver move.
Kyle Busch had
besides Ross Chastain.
Kyle Busch had a pretty bad season. Not the greatest, but it's kind of fallen into that kind of average category for him now. Kevin Harvick had a pretty down year going until he clutched out a couple late wins in the regular season to luck his way in the playoffs. But then going into the playoffs didn't really do a whole lot. Martin Truex.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna say, I think his lucky one was when he won at Michigan.
Yeah, and then backing it up with Richmond, and then after that, out. Truex and Blaney, despite being two top 5 guys in the points all season, both did not win a single race at all, and Truex didn't even make the playoffs, which a lot of people were not very happy about. Blaney got eliminated in the 3rd round. Didn't really compete for the championship at all. I mean, I can't really call it a down year because they both performed still pretty well, but weren't able to get the job done either. But one of the big low points this season, I don't know who had a really down year in Xfinity or Truck before we move on. I don't know if.
Yeah. So Truck Series, I thought that one of the guys with the worst seasons was Matt Crafton. He's barely there. He had 2 top 5s, which I mean,
I know he's
that
really
was
good in truck, and so that's kind of
it
surprising.
is just a bad season. I don't know how he made the playoffs. He had no stage wins. Just yeah, I don't know. Definitely a down year for him. Huge disappointment. Xfinity. Uh, I mean, Daniel Hemrick, I think, was the biggest disappointment. He only had 3 top 5s coming off of his championship season. He had 3 stage wins, so he didn't have a problem being up front. He just had a problem staying up front. A couple other big disappointments in the Xfinity Series. Landon Castle. He moved over to Kaulig. He actually had more top 5s than Daniel Hemrick. He had 5, but I mean, like he just could not be consistent, and that 10 car could not get into the playoffs. And the reason they weren't in the playoffs is because of Jeremy Clements' upset win at Daytona. And then Sheldon Creek, the 2. He honestly had the worst luck of any driver this year. He ran when he drove, he was always up front, but he could not finish up front because he was always in someone else's crash. Huge disappointment, and I feel horrible for him. And I'm glad that he's getting another chance with RCR this year. As for Cup Series, I think probably the 2 biggest disappointments are fairly obvious. I think Martin Truex. I looked at his stats; he only has 4 top 5s. I mean, that's right.
Right. But I guess the biggest disappointment didn't come from one single driver. It came from the brand new next gen car,
I
Gen
think that's
7.
yeah.
This thing, I did a whole video talking about the next gen car following the Auto Club race when there was like a million tire failures and a bunch of other stuff. But so much more has come to be with this car since. And it's mainly concerned with the safety. The early problem was the durability of the car and how well the mechanic, a lot of mechanical failures, a lot of tire failures, those persisted throughout this. Not so much the tire failures; those got fixed, or I thought got fixed pretty early on. But like mechanical problems, those persisted throughout the entire season, and those happen. You know, it's a new car. They got some kinks to work out, but the big problem was the safety of the car. It really, really shone its light. This car, I'll put it bluntly, it ended Kurt Busch's career, and that was probably one of the lowest points of the season. He was doing really good, had a win, and was performed pretty good, and then a seemingly pretty minor qualifying wreck at Pocono, all things considered, and it turned into a season/career-ending concussion, and he's forced to call it quits. And if that wasn't bad enough, in the playoffs, Alex Bowman suffers a similar crash at Texas, and he has to sit out a couple races and ends up getting eliminated from the playoffs because of it. Doesn't even get an opportunity to continue to fight for the championship. And, you know, I again, you have to throw a little bit. It's like, it's a new car, but you don't think it feels like they took a lot of steps back with safety, and that really sucks because since Dale Earnhardt died, it's seeming they have very much made a lot of huge advancements as far as safety with the cars and also like the tracks themselves, safer barriers, the Hans device, stuff with the roll cages and everything like that. And now and it's not like there hasn't been any injuries or deaths prior. Well, it's not so much deaths, but injuries between Dale Earnhardt's death and this year. But this year, out of all years, it just seems a lot more persistent, and it sucks, you know. Obviously, they're doing a lot of crash testing. We touched on that in a couple previous podcast episodes, and we'll have to see what goes into it next year. But they really got to get this fixed because it's not only driving away a lot of the older drivers that have been around the sport for a while and are big fan favorites, but it also kind of prevents other drivers from, like, future drivers from wanting to compete. They might want to stay in Xfinity or truck for a little bit longer because they think it's safer and they can continue racing and doing what they love, and preventing their move up to Cup, or preventing their wanting to move up to Cup, or even teams for wanting to move up to Cup. We saw Junior Motorsports was looking to move up to Cup. I don't know if the new car was the reason why they decided to delay that, but it definitely probably played a factor in it, and so that sucks. I'll stop talking for a minute. You guys can throw your thoughts in on the new car.
It sucks.
I mean, I think you hit it on the head.
So I don't know.
It's one of the worst cars. At first, beginning of the season, I was like, okay, this car looks pretty cool. I think it'll be the better car. But then when I saw that Kurt wreck, and I was like, I mean, yeah, of course, it probably would have caused a concussion, most likely, and it did, because of the way he hit the wall. And I was like, okay, maybe they'll just fix that, and it won't be a bad thing. Well, then when I found out Kurt Busch was out for the season, I'm like, okay, this is getting worse. Please don't let this even get more worse. When Alex Bowman wrecked at Texas, by just tapping the wall, that's when it cut the line. And I'm just like, this car is not safe for driving, and really shouldn't be in the series, or in any series, at that matter.
Yeah. Calling on NASCAR to really fix that situation going into next year. I think it's a problem when there are two driver-initiated meetings called by drivers. I guess it's driver-initiated, that's what that means, but about the safety of the car, especially in this time and age. It just really sucks. Alright, so on that note, I don't know what exactly, like, brand new tracks were introduced this year. I know NASCAR in the Cup Series went to Gateway for the first time. And then, of course, the Clash at the Coliseum was a new thing this year. I can't think of any others off the top of my head that were new.
I was going to say, what was this? The one in Austin.
COTA. That was second.
But then I was like, wait a minute, they've already been there. So
that was this year was really the first real race for COTA, because last year was drenched in rain. This year it was better weather, so we were able to see how it actually would play out. To better effect. I mean, it was a good race with a great finish. As far as Gateway, we got a big debacle with Chastain and Hamlin. That was one of the big pieces, big chapters in that storyline this year, as far as rivalries go. The Clash at the Coliseum I thought sucked. I will put it out there right now. That's a horrible idea, and I'm very disappointed that they are going back there again next year. That sucked. I don't know if there are any new tracks for Truck or Xfinity. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I don't know if Jackson, you know any off the top of your head. I know.
Oh, well, IRP came back. And Portland.
Oh, yep, they raced at Portland.
Portland was pretty fun.
I don't remember. I think I watched a little bit of that. I think it was pretty good. Of course, this was the first year as well for the new Atlanta configuration, which I thought was a great success. Was it the best race of the year? No. Honestly, I don't know what would be the best race of the year. The 600 was amazing. Martinsville had a great finish as well. I don't know if it really would go to Atlanta, but that was always a good one. But, last year there were a lot of new introductions, and next year we're going to get North Wilkesboro back. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So I cannot wait for that. and we'll hopefully get some more good improvements for brand new tracks next year as well. And then finally, for closing the book on the 2022 season, what we saw the last of. Obviously, I already talked about Kurt Busch. His career is over as we know it, which really, really sucks. Didn't know it was even going to be his last race. The other big one was the end of the Joe Gibbs era for Kyle Busch, and the end of the M&M's era in NASCAR as well. And it ended with the checkered flag at Phoenix. Long tenure time for Kyle Busch, going over to RCR. M&M's is leaving NASCAR permanently. Another big sponsor gone. You know, we've seen Budweiser fall, Home Depot, Lowe's, and we see Jackson fall too. Fun. Yet again. And yeah, it's another big sponsor down the wayside. I don't know any other big ones off the top of my head. Because I know Harvick's coming back. Truck's coming back. I don't know any other big ones in like.
They announced that Craftsman.
Right, Craftsman's coming back, so it's the end of the Camping World Truck Series. It's now returning to the Craftsman Truck Series. So that's pretty cool. That'll be awesome to see. I don't really think of any others in Xfinity. I know a lot of drivers are making. I guess it's the end of Kyle Busch Motorsports as we know it because of the change there. They're going to Chevy from Toyota.
You mean Toyota from Chevy?
They're going to Chevy because.
Right, you said from Chevy to Toyota.
Oh. Yeah, I meant the other way.
Either
around.
way.
I meant the other way around. So, you know, a lot of things, more things come to an end to open up new chapters, however. So it is what it is. But for M&M's, though, that's probably what I'm most, I guess Kurt Busch is what I'm most sad about, for sure. And then probably the M&M's leaving. I always really liked the M&M's cars. I always thought they looked really cool.
Especially the 4th of July ones.
Exactly. Those always look the best.
I remember I used to have I think it was, what was it? It was number 38, I believe. And it was a white car with the red, white, and blue M&M car. I think it was 38. It was in the 30s of some sort. But I remember having something like this car, but it was just M&M and number 38, and it was just beautiful.
They always put on good breast cancer awareness schemes too with the pink.
Yeah,
they always seem to go all out with those too, and those always look pretty cool. But
for sure.
I don't know. Get any points to close off the 2022 season with, Hitmaster?
All that I know, Ross Chastain has a snowblower on the front of his car the entire season. Well, I would say he's just a hack, but that's Alex Bowman in the Hamlin thing. or I would do.
But no, it was definitely not the greatest season. I think the variety of winners definitely helped save the season, but not a fine year for NASCAR. That's for sure. Got a couple other things to talk about though. First off, I would like to. I guess I'll congratulate the winner for season predictions. Little points thing. Drum roll. It was a tie.
Oh, God.
Three-way tie between me, Brian, and my dad. All got 4 points. Logano won the race and the championship, which means nobody got a point today.
No one voted for Logano?
No, Brian picked Logano to finish second in the championship for, not first. And I picked Elliott to win the race and the championship until Chastain dumped him. I thought I had a good chance at it. But yeah, nobody... So, final standings, me 4, Brian 4, my dad 4, and Jackson finished with 3. So, technically, I'm still undefeated. won. That's pretty cool. But yeah, Hitmaster, if you want to get in on that next year, we can definitely get you in on that. The format of it's how it's going to work next year is probably going to change. My dad's got a cool idea of how to do it, and we're probably going to add some more things in. But we'll figure that out come like January or February or whatever. I don't know if we're going to do the Clash pick, so probably going to wait till the middle of February to get that all set up. We'll see. But definitely going to do it again next year, so that was a lot of fun. A lot lower of correct predictions. I know last year or the year before, I think the winners like got 7 or 8 correct, and this year the winner got 4 correct. So, and that's out of 48 total possible points that could have been gotten this season. So not a lot, but maybe next year we'll get some more. And then finally, I would
like how the Lions always say, maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Hey, they beat the Packers today. That it's always a good day when the Packers lose.
Rodgers sucks.
All right, before we end off the episode, I would like to preview the lineup. Well, the list of drivers who qualified for this year's New Year's Eve Spectacular. So you guys know what I'm talking about. It's a fictional race that I came up with that I simulate on NR 2003. I race it at Daytona at night, and basically all the winners from the season, the 36 main points races plus the duels, the All-Star race, and the Clash all can get in. Plus past winners of the event can also get in to the event, and then they all race for a fictional $1 million prize on New Year's Eve. Here's who made it this year. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Buescher, Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch. Yes, I am including Kurt Busch. Because if this race did actually exist, he would probably still have ran it this year as a farewell race. Being so far after the season ended, I think he would have done it just for one more race. Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, Eric Jones, and Bubba Wallace. All of those drivers qualified in on wins. Of course, the 19 different winners from the regular 36 races, plus Brad Keselowski got in with the dual win. And Ryan Blaney got in with the All-Star race win. And then 3 past champions who could not win during the season also qualified. Martin Truex Jr., Greg Biffle, and AJ Allmendinger all qualified as well. For a total of 24 drivers, that is second most in the event's history, tied with 2007. The most is still 27. That was done in 2011. But it'll be pretty cool to do that on New Year's Eve. I am going to try and live stream it this year. I couldn't do that last year. Might have to pre-record it and do it as a premiere again this year. But that'll be on New Year's Eve, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So now that all the drivers are locked in, I got to get the mods and car sets set up on my computer, on my game, and make sure that's all set for New Year's Eve. So, all right. So that's pretty cool. So I guess now, what's going to happen? Now we all know what's happening with the season. What's going to happen with this podcast? Because the season is over. And we definitely have had some off-season ideas as we've cultivated throughout the season.
One of them is, of course, like our diecast. We could do that. And I was thinking of another thing while I was at work, too. There have been some, theories of, this guy has seen, what's his name? He was racing at, doing a test on the bus stop, and when he came on the turn of that one guy that hit the wall and then died, you saw, a shadow of his figure or something like that. Like little NASCAR ghost stories or something like that. We could see what that looks like or something like that. But, I mean, or we could do, what NASCAR game is better.
Yeah, we
NR 2003.
we were gonna talk about NASCAR video games, diecast collections, horror stories will be a fun one to do one time. I've had a topic sitting a while that I've wanted to do. We could finally give that a chance. I hope to get a couple more guests on very shortly.
I do have one of my friends that's a big NASCAR fan. This guy is actually the guy that I bought when I was at Michigan. I bought a $200, which he still hasn't paid me back yet, a $200 Kyle Larson helmet that is signed, and it's official. It's signed. So I could try to see if he can get on Discord and get on the podcast, because
That'd be interesting. That'd be fun.
pretty good. He would love to talk about the NASCAR
Do you-
situation.
Do you still have the helmet?
It's at his place. I can have him either show it on his camera, or I could say, can I borrow it for a couple days, and I could just show it and then give it back to him. So
Well, we'll try to get him down. Just make sure he joins the Discord. If anybody else on here wants to be a guest one day on this podcast, you obviously can. You just got to join the Pringle Son and Company Discord server, and she's fine. Join the Pringle Son and Company Discord server. Get the Talking NASCAR roll, and we will figure out a time to get you guys on to be on the podcast over the all season. Basically, the direction is they're still going to be uploaded every Friday, but what Friday? Every Friday? No, probably not. Give me a second. Yeah, she's very annoying when I like to record videos. But anyway, not every Friday, basically. It will be every Friday for a little while. Because obviously, along with all these ideas that we've cultivated for a while to do for off-season episodes, there's still going to be NASCAR news coming up, silly season stuff that's going to get announced, retirement tours that might get announced, driver changes, new reveals of sponsors and cars and all that sort of stuff will still come up as we go into the off season. I think especially probably the next couple weeks as November goes along, I think we're going to hear a lot of things. But once we get into December, I think it's going to calm down. But when we get into January, it's definitely going to start to pick up again before the Clash starts. So if we find enough stuff to cultivate for an episode, we will get it done and get it uploaded for you guys. But again, don't expect it every Friday. But we should have some again for that. Next week, we're going to hopefully be doing a collaboration with some guests, get on this podcast, and then probably going to try and do that diecast one video, that diecast episode, because I know we've been wanting to do that for a while. I don't have any plans to get any more diecasts before that. I don't know if Hitmaster does. I don't know if Jackson does. I think Jackson has some on his list, but
So Thursday, I get paid, right?
Cool.
Thursday, when I get paid, I have officially on the NASCAR.com, I have the 2022 Darlington throwback for William Byron.
You're going to get it?
And the Jeff Gordon one, I have officially have it on there, and I am getting it because Jeff Gordon is like I said multiple times, Jeff Gordon is my favorite driver. And when Jeff Gordon got retired, I couldn't even watch his final race because I got grounded because I did something bad at school. And that was my punishment. I couldn't watch Jeff Gordon's final race to try to go for a 5th championship. So
you're going to get it when you get paid?
Oh, yeah. For
All
definite,
right. Well,
sure.
we're definitely going to have to wait for you to get that done before we can do that episode. I know Jackson's birthday is coming up soon. But he put some 164s down on his list. That he wanted to.
I have 64s ready too.
When I do that episode, I'm only going to show off my 124s. I'm not going to do my 164s because they're all stored away and they're also not in that great condition. I will definitely talk about them, and you guys can obviously show off your 164s or any other NASCAR merch that you might want to show off. I might show off some hats. I might show off some stickers, or I might show off some pins. It's a big merch episode. It's going to be a big one, but.
And I have even cards. This is the one when Kurt Busch drove the one for what's the team?
Ganassi. Was
yeah,
Ganassi. Now
Ganassi.
The one's now for Trackhouse. But yeah, and obviously we're gonna do video games and talking about my topic is retired numbers. I want to talk about that for a while. Definitely want to try and touch on that. I don't remember on the collaborations and all that jazz. Ghost stories. And you know what? Whatever else we can cultivate. But I hope you guys stick around. Like I said, you want to be a guest, join the Pringleson and Company Discord server. Request the role. We'll give it to you. We'll get it scheduled. And if you got any cool ideas for episodes that we should do, we'd like to hear your thoughts about it as well in the comment section down below. And I think
if you want to be a part of this, just like how me, Pringleson and Pringleson and Jackson are in this, just talk in the Discord, even though I don't talk in it that much because I have lots of stuff on my mind. Yeah, as long as you're a member and you want to try joining with us, we'll let you join. Hope to get this to 100 episodes, but I don't know if we'll be able to get to that much.
We could probably do that probably not next year, but
yeah, probably 2 years from now.
We'll get there. Yeah, it takes time, but for sure, if for some reason no other episodes get uploaded due to delays or time constraints or whatever, between now we will 100% for sure be back the Friday before the Clash. That is February 3rd. 2023 to preview the Clash, talk about anything over the off season that we did not get a chance to talk about, get back ready for the 2023 season. So, but obviously there's going to be more episodes in between. But that's going to be the next one where we talk about NASCAR, preview stuff, and that kind of thing under the structure that we've been doing since this podcast began. So it should be a lot of fun. But
and how we think the Chicago Street Course will be.
Yeah. That'll definitely be one of them. But till then, just keep watching. Stay tuned. Much more amazing content's coming out. Trust me, I've got videos scheduled up until that point. I've been planning this out. That's how I know the exact dates and everything. I know. But that's going to do it for this episode again. Stay tuned for much more amazing content. We will see you throughout the off season. And we will catch you guys later.